back. You're watching Connect with CNN IBN, and this week we are starting a campaign called Why Pay Extra. Mumbai's Abhishek Nakashe, upset over the service charge, sued a restaurant. He has now turned a citizen journalist to expose restaurants overcharging customers like you and me. Mihir Trivedi helped him file this report.
Hi, this is Abhishek Nakashe. I have become citizen journalist today to cover an important issue of service charges levied by these restaurants on their whims and wishes by keeping certain important facts hidden from the customers. In July this year, I along with my sister visited this restaurant called as Secret Spice in Mumbai's Mulund area. Like many, we too were enjoying our meal. However, the trouble started when I was presented with the bill which expected me to pay more than the price in the menu, all in the name of unspecified service charge. This was not the first time that I had been charged over and above the bill as service charges, and I am very much sure that most of you must have experienced the same. If you haven't noticed it now. Basically, you are required to pay for the food plus taxes and on the face of it service charges. And the irony is most of these restaurants do not disclose the amount of service charges being levied. People often get confused between service tax and service charge. Service tax and service charge are two different aspects. Basically, there is no statutory law under which service charge is levied. It is a variable component of the invoice which is distributed among the restaurant staff. It can be charged anywhere between 5 to 12%. As per consumer law, restaurant must inform the customers about the percentage charged by mentioning it in the menu card. Also, there is no way to confirm if such amount collected under the name of service charge is actually distributed among the staff. What if it goes into restaurant owners' pockets? In my case, the cops had to be called for my rescue, as the management at this restaurant didn't let us go. In a way, I was only allowed to leave if I agreed to pay the bill, inclusive of service charges, which was some type of illegal confinement. Luckily, the cops understood what I was trying to say, but they had no clue what sections to put under the complaint. Finally, I filed an NC against the restaurant. There are various places where consumer is cheated literally. So in case you are unreasonably charged or overcharged next time, do remember to raise your voice because you must. This is citizen journalist Abhishek Nakashe signing off.
And this campaign is a hit on social media. Many citizen journalists are sending us video blogs now. Take a look at some of them.
I am using CJ Plus as my medium to convey my message regarding restaurant taxation. Last month I went to a restaurant where my food bill was 4,000 and with service charge and VAT I had to pay 6,200. This is so unfair on our part. So I want to ask government why we have to pay taxes twice, and I want to drag their attention to this topic.
Hi, I am Rashi. I am using CJ Plus as the medium to convey my message. I went to the Lodi Garden restaurant and look at it. My bill was around 2,515 rupees, which was after all the service tax, service charge. VAT was twice VAT. Here you can see. And then I have to pay almost 1,000 extra, which was then 3,314 rupees. Which I think is not fair. And when government demand all the service tax and charges, then why should we pay at restaurant? It should be on our willingness that we want to pay it as a tip to the waiters or not. So I think this is not fair and government should do something about it.
So have you been at the receiving end as well? Do those stories sound familiar? Have you been through that? Share your stories with us with the hashtag WhyPayExtra. Joining us on Connect with CNN this evening is Mahesh Jaising. He's a tax consultant joining us from Bangalore. And we have our first callers. Good evening, Mr. Jaising. Let's go straight to some of the people who are joining us. Narsimhan from your own city, Bangalore, is with us. Hello, Narsimhan. What do you want to say?
Hello, madam, and hello, Mr. Jaising. It is good to talk to you. But the main aspect here is when we go to a well-known restaurant, we don't look at this service tax and service charges because the other people will be looking at with some awe on their faces. Then they think that we are misers, we don't like to pay money. Over and above the tips, we will be paying this also. But what is intriguing me is the hotels will not pay the taxes to the government. They are supposed to pay the service tax to the government as per the VAT, etc. Service charge, as the earlier caller told, it may be distributed among the people there. but there is no way the consumer can make sure that the tax is paid to the government there.
Yes.
And this is where I think you can have an abhayan or a sort of a movement and inform the finance minister regarding these things are happening in all star hotels and all other type of eateries, especially in the airports, etc. So this is where we need an advisor as what is the liability of these restaurants. Many of the people don't pay taxes to the government. How can we make sure that our money has gone to the government? It's an indirect tax.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
All right. Narsimhan, you made your... Yes. Okay. Let me get another caller and then I'll come to you, Mr. Jaising. Ajay Kumar is with us from Jammu. Good evening, Mr. Kumar.
Okay. The point was I was supposed to talk about Indo Park, but I seriously don't know what is this restaurant business. Hello?
Yes?
Seriously, the person at the core computer want to connect me for Indo Park, but I don't know restaurant because I can tell you all about Redis and Dhabas.
That's okay.
I'm from Kashmir, okay.
Nice talking to you. Bye. Ajay Kumar there. Avanti again from Bengaluru. Hello, Avanti.
Hi, actually, I just wanted to talk about why you pay extra.
Yes, sure. Please go ahead.
Yeah, we've been going to a number of restaurants in Bengaluru, not only in Bengaluru, other parts of cities as well, like Hyderabad, because we are basically from Hyderabad. Whenever we go, we normally check at the end of the thing. But these days, earlier it was okay, but these days, it's the high percentage of tax that's going on. So there is service tax, and again you have that value added tax and all that. At times it's so happening like when the bill is 800, the taxes are again somewhere around 300 or 300 plus. And that's when we are feeling like it's not worth going there again. My recent one was we only ate food which was worth of somewhere around 650, but the bill came to 1280. And guess what? There was this Himalaya mineral water which was, the cost of the bottle was 50 rupees. But they have charged me 175 rupees in one of the restaurants in Bengaluru. So we are wondering why nobody is regulating it or why nobody is protesting this. This is a good idea to bring up a forum like this to start off things against those extra money that's being stolen from us.
All right. Mahesh Jaising, clearly the restaurants across the country, it seems, are fleecing customers. Why does this go unregulated?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of aspects that have been raised by the callers in the last few minutes. One part is, the aspect of there being a VAT or a sales tax and then a service tax and then a service charge. And let's just go piecemeal for us to appreciate the tax laws better, and then we can jointly take this petition to the government for for clarifications or relief. So the way it works is that until 2011, all of us used to go into a restaurant, and at the time of a bill would come in, we would only have a sales tax or a VAT. We would never have something like a service tax. In 2011, the finance minister and the central government brought about a levy of service tax on restaurants that have air conditioning as well as a liquor license. So from 2000, that was the initial law. Then after that in 2012, and the current law is that service tax applies when there is air conditioning in a particular restaurant during the whole year or part of that year. So the fundamental issue that we have on the taxation side is today you have a VAT and a service tax, and the natural question from any consumer would be that why should both the taxes be there? There ought to be only one tax. But we are in a framework of a central and a state system of taxation, and unless and until we get a GST, both the taxes are pretty much here to stay for the next year or so. The issue was taken up by the Mumbai High Court, and the Mumbai High Court, where a petitioner filed a petition saying service tax ought not to be levied because when I'm paying money, all that I'm getting in exchange is food, so it's nothing but a sale transaction. But the Bombay High Court had specifically said that no, we do not appreciate this argument, and we think service tax ought to apply. Interestingly, and there have been conflicting rulings in Kerala and Chhattisgarh, but I'm not going to get into that right now. But I think as far as consumers are concerned, we all are indeed aggrieved by both the taxes coming in of a VAT and a service tax.
So until, the GST coming or not coming is a separate matter. but the fact is that our restaurants charging us more than what they should, and is there a cap on service tax? Because there seems to be a lot of grey area in all of this. I'll come to that in a bit. I'll have to take a break right now, Mahesh Jaising. Do stay with us, and we'll get more callers from across the country as well.
Did you know that restaurants are charging you an extra 10% on your bill as service charge? Did you know that you're paying this 10% over and above VAT and a service charge? Although there's no law to back it, restaurants expect you to pay a service charge whether or not you like their service. Did you know that if not mentioned in the menu, imposing a service charge is illegal? Decode the restaurant bill with CNN, IBN, CJ Plus and raise the question, why pay extra?
Welcome back. You're watching Connect with CNN IBN, and today our campaign Why Pay Extra, where we're looking at service tax, and we're asking if you too have been pleased at restaurants. With us is a tax consultant from Bengaluru, Mahesh Jaising, and our next caller also from the same city, Usha Rao, is with us. Good evening, Ms. Rao.
You know, I wish to thank CNN and IBN for starting this campaign called Why Pay Extra and creating awareness among people. Though I eat out at restaurants once in a while, I wasn't even aware till now, you know, that something like service tax was being included in our bill. And I feel guilty that I, as an educated customer, I have failed to pay attention to such details, and I have deservedly been pleased by the restaurant. I think your initiative has shown how important it is for us as consumers to be alert and aware of such things. Since this service tax is not levied by the government, it's obviously not going to the government's coffers. The question therefore arises, where does that money go? Does it go to the restaurant owner, or is it distributed among the staff employed in a restaurant? We need answers for these questions, you know. And since restaurants are collecting this tax in a surreptitious manner, we should demand clarification from them about the purpose of collecting this tax. And I request CNN and IBN to take this campaign to its logical end with the help of public support. You know, both electronic and print media play a very important role in creating awareness among people and helping citizens to fight for their rights. Thank you.
Sure, Mr. Rao, thank you very much. I think Mr. Jaising, Usha Rao put it very well when she said there are a lot of educated people who should know that they are probably paying more than they should, end up doing it because they don't know what they should be looking at. Are the restaurants, a lot of them, not at fault here when they charge? And is there not a lot of discrepancy in terms of how much service charge is taxed, tax is charged rather?
Yes, so let me just clarify. For simplicity, the service tax applies at 40% of the bill value at 14%. So if you have a bill of 1,000 rupees, the service tax works out to 5.6%. So the next time you go to a restaurant, please have a look at the bill, and if the bill is 1,000, you will correspondingly note a service tax of 56 rupees. If you notice that the percentage is any higher, you may immediately protest and say, look, this is an incorrect amount of service tax that is being charged to me. We should also not get confused with the service tax being different from the service charges, because service charges is you know, like the gentleman who was in the initial part of the call and this episode mentioned, that that's indeed a charge collected by the hotel and the restaurant to be distributed as a tip, as what we would commonly call, to their staff. Now, and even it's interesting that the Central Board of Excise and Customs has issued a specific circular about a couple of months ago saying that for the public at large, please understand that the service charges is not something that is levied by us. So please, that is something that is between you and the restaurant. Now, in terms of the legal validity of whether a restaurant ought to charge or not, that's going to be case specific. And most restaurants have now intelligently, in the footnote of their menu card itself, said service charges extra at 10 or 15%. So then in some sense that's more a contractual transaction, and that may have to be debated separately. But as far as the tax is concerned, I would request the viewers today to understand service tax is typically 5.6%. The VAT tax can be different in different states. In Karnataka, it's about 14.5%. If you go to a higher end restaurant which has air conditioning, which has liquor licenses as well as, you know, interstate or imported food items, If you go to a smaller restaurant, it can potentially be 4%. Similarly, in Maharashtra as well, you have the VAT rate that can be 14%. So the VAT rate may vary a little bit, but the service tax ought to be only 5.6%, and the service charge that you see in the invoices over and above that goes is supposed to go to the benefit of the waiters and the service staff helping you.
Right, but when you go out to eat with friends or family, you're not going to pull out your calculator and figure out what the restaurant is going to eventually present you in terms of a bill. But let's get another caller. Sugam is with us from Hyderabad. Hello, Sugam.
Hi everyone on the panel. So I have a pretty straightforward question. So let's say I know that the service charge is not legally, allowed by the government, that's charging, and I don't want to pay that service charge. But there are a lot of restaurants, like even I go to a lot of restaurants in Hyderabad, and they are charging the service charge. And how do I lodge my protest? So even if I ask them that, that I don't want to pay this service charge because legally you're not allowed to, but they'll not allow us to leave the restaurant and without paying the service charge. And honestly, on a practical note, not everyone will call a police there to lodge a protest.
Right.
So how do we actually lodge a protest, or how do we not pay the service charge even if the restaurant is forcing us to pay?
Mahesh, do you want to take that? Are restaurants,
Sure.
are they well within their rights to charge a service tax? And B, what is the recourse for a regular customer?
Right. So again, a restaurant has a legal right to charge the sales tax and the service charge, and the service tax. So the VAT and service tax, that they have a legal right that none of us can really dispute because it's an indirect tax. But the dispute comes up on the service charges, which is say 10% or 15%. And like I said earlier, that's not a right that's going to be vested by us by a taxing law. That's more a contractual right. So maybe we could look at the option of a consumer protection act related proceeding. So I don't know the final legal recourse, but that's an area that a consumer wish to look at. And I would only say that the same way a price is mentioned in a menu card, if the footnote is mentioning 10% service charge, then I'm afraid that you and I as consumers may not have the right to then dispute and say that we are not going to be paying that. I think the right and possible ability to dispute will only arise where the footnote is not clear of a service charge and there's an arbitrary amount of service charge on the final invoice.
Right. We look at other aspects of this as well. This is a campaign that CNN IBN has launched today, and we'll be looking at many other ways in which you can address this issue. Thank you very much, Mahesh Jaising, for joining us here on Connect with CNN IBN, and do stay with us for lots more on this and the other news.